Hello, I should be live and ready to go here. Let's see if everyone can hear me and whether all of my wireless audio issues have been sorted out for the beginning of this stream so I don't have to spend the first 10 minutes messing with it. So I'm going to let you all file in, find your seats, get comfortable. If you bought a beverage, please enjoy it with me. And today, as usual, we are, well, maybe not as usual. Last time I was live, we did a laser engraver. This time, we are back to 3D printing, and I've got my first machine from Artillery. I got NonFam telling me that the audio and video is good. Thank you, NonFam. Good to see you as always. Thanks for joining the live stream. And we're going to just have anyone else want to confirm that the audio and video both look good. I feel like I'm a little oversaturated on the camera, like I've got my ISO turned up a little bit too high, but that could just be the way it looks like on this monitor. Yeah, it looks a little bit better over there. Let's try this. Okay, Google, turn off garage overhead light. Let's see what that does. Yeah, that might be a little bit better. I don't know. I think that's going to make this dark when I go to do that. Okay, Google, turn on garage overhead light. So that's probably not going to be the best. There we go. So that's back. All right, so we're going to go with what I've got here. Welcome. If you're new here, this is Kersey Fabrications. I primarily do 3D printing, projects with 3D printing, which are going to start showing up more and more on the channel. Also take a look at any machine I can get my hands on that have to do with making, whether it be laser engravers or CNC, and I plan on doing more of that in the future as well. So, and if you're a regular, thanks for coming back. As always, thanks for joining me here as we open things up. We've got Train Fan Wolf telling me he or she has parts coming for their Ender 5 Plus. That's awesome. Hey, Thomas. Yeah, I've never seen you before. New moderator to the channel. No, Thomas has been here a while. But sorry, Darkwing Dad is joining us today. Hey, hello, Darkwing Dad. Good to see you. If you haven't checked out Darkwing Dad's channel, please go look it up. Just Google it or YouTube search it, and you'll find Darkwing Dad. He also has a fantastic new Discord server, so check that out. Anyway, we got 3D Jeff from Indiana, Derek. Hi to everybody. We're just letting people file in a little bit. I know usually when we start these streams, it starts out a little bit light, and then, you know, by a few minutes in, we have kind of a quorum going, and we can get started. So I've got all of my cameras set up here. I've got the new overhead camera. I got the close-up camera. Any quick questions, maybe, before we get going with the unboxing? Anyone having any issues? Any issues with their Ender 5 Pluses? I know that's what a lot of people come to my channel for. Any questions? If not, then we'll just get going. Like I said, I was just hanging out a little bit. Got my usual mug. Could you please try doing a cold pull with this one? I heard it's impossible. I'll see if I have time to do that in this video. I will see if I can do it. What's the price of the Hornet? That's a fantastic question. So let's go ahead and do that. Let me grab me a seat here. And let's go ahead and, before we get started with the unboxing, let's just go ahead to the website and take a look at what they've got going on the website. So they're running a deal right now on the Hornet on the website. Let me go ahead, let me minimize a couple of my windows here so that I have the right window up on the screen, and I'm going to do a screen share. So you should be seeing my screen now, and this is the the Artillery website. They're running an amazing deal right now. They're saying this deal is good for the next 7 days or so. They're running a price on this printer for $199 now, buying it direct, and it is shipping cost to, if you're in the United States, It's free shipping. So this is $199 with free shipping to the United States. And they, of course, have it to other countries. It can come from China. They've got free shipping, it looks like, almost all over the world. So take a look here, depending on where you're at. I know I get a lot of international viewers. But fantastic price on this if you're looking for a first or a second printer. And let's take a look at the features while we're doing this. And welcome to Artillery. This is the official store. I also have a link in the description to the AliExpress store if you prefer to order from AliExpress rather than direct. That's an affiliate link, and the Artillery official website, which is a little bit cheaper, is not an affiliate link, so I will get, at least as of the time of doing this live stream, I'll be getting no commissions or anything on this. I just wanted to do a live stream today, and these guys sent me my first Artillery. So anyway, $199, 32-bit main board. As you can see, they have this, I don't know if this is patented or not. I don't know if they went to the trouble, but they have this custom cable that runs over. It carries the electricity, it carries the filaments, it carries everything from the main board to the hot end. This is the bit of contention that people have with this printer so far, that it makes it hard to work on, because if you can't separate the filament path from the electronics path, how do you service certain aspects of the hot end? I think Joel, the 3D printing nerd, mentioned that it was a real challenge. So that's something to look out for here. Is the maintenance going to be difficult? Can you work around it? And I don't know yet. This is, like I said, this is my first time working on this. One thing I really like about this printer is that they do have dual cooling. I'm losing patience with companies that don't have some sort of dual airflow to the hot end. I don't know why we want one side print cooling. But anyway, integrated structure. Let's see what we got. Sturdy frame, cost effective. It's definitely an inexpensive printer. They say it's high precision, tempered glass platform, 32-bit silent board. They do, that cable harness is patent pending according to this site right here. Let's see what else. Aluminum base, sturdy gantry. I figured this was going to be a quick build. You know, I'm going to take this thing apart a little bit. I always show you the inside of it, the electronics. So this will obviously take a little bit more time because of that, but they're showing extremely easy assembly on this. So build volume is 220, 220, 250. I think you're a little height limited because of this connection here. Otherwise, they'd be able to go up more. But 250 is a little short on a printer like this. 220 by 220, as most of you know, is pretty standard. The hot end looks really nice. The extruder looks just great. I'm trying to decide if it's even geared. I can't really tell from here. But this is what we were talking about. The filament path is in the center of all of the pins for the electronics. So those pins are obviously for your hot end, for your fans, all the things that need to go, your thermistor, all the things that need to go to the hot end itself. And as they're showing, you got a glass bed, which is my favorite bed. It's running a 350 watt power supply. It's saying it's certified. I don't know if we're going to be looking at a name brand supply or some generic supply. 32-bit main board. One thing I really like, I like the way that they put together the front of the chassis. If you'll notice, they actually took the time to make the SD card slot very easy to get to. And the wheel is very convenient, and it looks to also be backlit or light piped. Let's see, stepper motors, belt tensioning. So belt tensioning built in, which is a really nice feature. And all, you know, and it comes with a nice toolkit, all integrated in this little bag. Again, here are the standard things you're going to find about most printers. If you need to know the electrical requirements, if you need to know what it prints, they're saying Construction's aluminum ABS. I think that's about does it. Let's see what I've missed in the chat. Thomas linked to Darkwing Dad's YouTube channel. Appreciate that, Thomas. right now. I see it right now for $179 on Amazon. I'm going to take a look at, well, let me not share the screen while I'm doing that, just in case. So let me go ahead. They did want me to link to the official links, but if someone in the chat's going to mention the Amazon link, I hate not to mention it as well. That seems ridiculous. So let me go ahead. I'm not actually going to share the Amazon page because it's my personal Amazon page, but I will go ahead and put it in the chat here. So keep in mind that's one more place you can buy it. It seems to be the absolute cheapest and fastest way you can get this. If I were to order one now, I would get it Monday. So if this video makes you want to purchase one, or if you just want to click my link so that some of your soon purchases I get a little bit of credit for, I appreciate that kind of thing. But take a look. Amazon's a great place to buy it. And there we go. Any questions before we move forward? I will be paying attention. But again, leaving the links in the description to the ones that they requested. But there's a link in the chat if you want to check it out on Amazon. All right, so let's get going. Without further ado, we got about almost 40 people watching right now according to my stream. And let me bring up, see if that does that. Yeah, that does that. Okay. So we'll start out popping this box open. We will get going. And I guess I'll go ahead and switch to the overhead shot. There we go. Which way? This way. Yeah, I got it set up right. There we go. All right. And luckily I didn't need my table extenders for this printer. It's not one of the giant printers I've been building lately. So wherever I want to throw that. And as they showed in the description, here is the awesome artillery bag that's going to have all of our tools in it. Yep, we got extra wheels. It does come with extra parts. It's got extra wheels. It's got extra end stops. It's got our USB to SD card as well as our SD card itself. It's got Allen wrenches and USB cords. So I'm going to definitely hang on to that. Ellis is in the chat. How you doing, Ellis? What about noise in the prints because of the plastic parts creating vibrations? I don't think the plastic is an essential element of the frame of the printer, but we'll take a look at that. So we got Artillery Hornet. So this is going to be my instruction guide. It's actually pretty thick compared to most guides that you get with printers. So big thank you to them for including that. I've got a power cable here, of course. I'll just throw that on the ground with all the other ones I've got. Got a spool holder. This is the piece of technology in question that is going to carry our filament through the PTFE tube, as well as the electricity. My concern with this is not only the fact that it's going to be harder to service this because of the interconnectedness of this piece. But what do you do when you've damaged the end of your PTFE tube? Like, inevitably, it's going to get damaged, or like, I don't know what the integration here is with the hot end. So I do wonder how that's going to work there. So they're telling me right here, I've got a little sticker telling me that my hot end's in here. There we go. So here is the hot end. Let's pull that out. This comes in a nice bag. So all ABS injection molded plastic here. looks really nice. The fans look really nice. They are some small blower fans. They've got a bunch of electronics here on the back. Let's see, where's the best place to put that? So yeah, a lot of electronics. I do like this board. It's going to make it easy to replace these components if you need to, because just little simple connections here if you want to replace them. There's the connector, standard little cooling fan here. It does, I'm trying to decide here by looking in it if it goes if the PTFE goes all the way to the nozzle. I may pull this nozzle out in a minute and find out, because if so, I think that's going to be a huge problem. Thomas is asking triple fans. Well, you've got 2 cooling fans, 1 for each side, and then you have your hot end cooling fan. So not all 3 of those are for part cooling. These are part cooling, and this is hot end cooling. Plastic connector is fairly close to the hot end. My guess is that most electronics connectors are decently rated for temperature, so as long as they did their homework and bought plastic that can handle the heat, then I'm not too worried about it. Plus, there is an air gap between them, so the amount of heat getting to them, I think, is going to be minimal. Let's see. We got, this is probably the little triangle they include that tells me who inspected it. And that can go in the garbage. And where are we attached? Okay. So I'm going to try to get this out of here. Okay. So there is the gantry. Interesting little connector they have here for this piece. Apparently they thought this plastic connector, I don't know. I was going to say, but apparently they thought this plastic connector was easier than screwing in the lead screw. I don't really know what the purpose of that was, but it looks fine. It's tight, so it doesn't seem to really matter a whole lot. There's the connector for the other end of our, I don't know, we need a name for it. I'm sure it has a name. Filament path. We'll just call it the filament path for now. And you know that it also comes with electronics. It is a single Z lead screw on this side, and the Z screw motor is mounted at the top. I think that's one of the other things that's limiting the height of this printer, is they integrated that into the top. So now you have the space for the motor, you have the space for the coupler, you have this space, and so you've pushed down the maximum height of the printer to 250. More electronics here. They have a nice ribbon connector here. We'll come back to all of that probably as we get set up. Looks like I've got some questions. You can't heat up the hot end without having a special integrated cable plugged into the hot end, so if you have a damaged PTFE tubing, you're pretty much sunk. I have to agree with you, and that's exactly what I was mentioning earlier. So, but we're going to keep going. We're going to see how it does. As long as they have that part and it's fairly cheap. I think someone mentioned that it is not available, so I don't know about that. I will have to check it out. It looks like the rest of this unit is all one piece. And it is. The rest of it is all one piece. Let me go ahead. I'm going to move this to the side. And make sure there's nothing lingering in the box. It doesn't look like it. So do that. And get going. All right, now I can't leave the area anymore because I have thrown the box in my way, but that's not a big deal. I don't plan on going anywhere yet. There is the printer. I guess I should have just stayed. I don't know what I'm doing. Let's pick the right button. There we go. So here is the printer. Do not remove before finishing assembly. They don't want you to damage the plate. Let's take a look at what we have here. Maybe the close-up camera might be better at this. I'm not sure. Let's go ahead and try that. So here's the close-up. Nice looking printer. I think everyone kind of enjoys the look of this printer. I don't know if it's everyone's like favorite design, but I think everyone kind of thinks it's cute. A lot of molded plastic to make it look nice. This would look good in most people's homes. There is the front interface. And I've got something popping. Okay, that was just on my screen. All right, so as I was saying, here's your SD card slot. Here is, I'm going the wrong way. Here is the button I was talking about, nice clicky button. And Z end stop is back here. USB port is off to the side here. And as you can see, here's the fan for the electronics cooling. I like this strain relief on this cable. If you notice, it has strain relief going into the housing itself. It has a really big, bulky strain relief right there. I'm going to have to move this around. There we go. Big, bulky strain relief right there on the bed. So they got that right. That looks really good. Okay, Andrew was saying you can now get a spare one of those cables for $68, which, okay, A, that's great. I'm glad you can get one. But B, $68? That's like, at current prices for this printer, that's like a quarter of the price of the printer. A little bit more than a quarter. So, anyway, there we go. Let's go ahead, take a look at the manual and see what it looks like. Hey, how you doing, Jake from State Farm? And Thomas mentioned that yellow and black is a nice color combo, and I agree. Whether you like Bumblebee from Transformers, or whether you think it looks like a a Caterpillar tractor. Let's see what's in here. Letter from Artillery. Can we do that? Yeah, there we go. I know this isn't zoomed in. I don't have full zoom control on this camera, so, but I think you'll kind of get what's in here. Accessory checklist. Let's just go through the assembly. Actually, I want to see the electronics if it doesn't take a week to get into this case. Let's see. How do we get into it? Is it even reasonable to try? I don't know. There is a lot of plastic. That's a little disconcerting. How much plastic there is on this printer. So here we can see that there is... here you can see that this is where the main board is, because you can actually see the heat sinks on the stepper drivers in here. And there's a motor that they've given a little cooling to. The power supply is not a name brand that I know of. It's not a Changlang. It is got some sort of Z logo, which you can see right there. What would it take to get in here? There is, well, you know what? I'm going to try. We're going to do it. We're going to see, because that's what I do. So we're going to grab it and see if we can get in here. Let's just do it. Oh, okay. Maybe it won't be that hard. Let me grab a place to keep my screws, and we're going to give it a shot. Maybe they didn't make this hard as it looks. Are they all the same length at least? That's good. Okay, does that move just from that? Nope. That was not enough to get it to move. So we keep going. Let's turn it over. So one thing I'm seeing, it does look like the base of that plastic is one piece. So how are they clamping that on there? Aha! Looky there. That is really nice. Okay, number one, I give them credit. That is really cool that they went to the trouble 3 screws. I'm in this. That's actually easier than a lot of the other printers that I've taken apart. And now we have full access to the printer. So kudos to them for making that really, really simple. 3 screws and we're done. So now let's take a look at what they've done inside. So pretty nice main board. Let's see, what is that? That is an ARM processor, so it is a nice 32-bit processor. It is a standard 12864 display, because you can tell there are 2 ribbon cables going to the display, which is a dead giveaway. That is just a Marlin type display, and if you've been following me on Twitter, then you know my recent problems with displays that aren't 12864 displays, so kudos to them for just doing the Marlin display, which is still my favorite way to do this. Power supply looks good. There are, okay, so straight out, if you've been watching me, you know I cannot find many printer manufacturers that will put any ferrules. And there has not been a printer manufacturer that I can remember that has done all ferrules. But I have found my first, because all of these are crimped connectors for the power supply, and they have ferruled every single thing coming into this board. Now, along with that comes enough hot glue to choke a horse. We have a ton of hot glue. There's hot glue here, hot glue on everything, and the problem is I don't mind a little bit of hot glue, but this would be a lot of fun to try to get off. I've heard the alcohol will help you remove this. I haven't tried that myself, but yeah, this is, Thomas asks, is this is injection molded? Yes, it is injection molded, so that's nice. But anyway, ferrules throughout. I really love it. It's interesting. There is an extra, man, I need a drink. My mouth's getting dry. 1 second. Anyway, so there is one more place for another stepper driver, as well as a Z2 spot here. So if you want to find a way to add a second Z screw to this, the board already supports it. As you can see, they've taken the USB off of here. Let me switch cameras real quick. Let's do that. Okay. So as you can see, they've actually taken the USB, comes off of here, goes out this way. Again, the wire management looks really, really well done. There's not a lot of extra wire. It goes from point A to point B. There are zip ties where there needs to be zip ties. And you're asking about the power supply. It is, I don't know the brand because I'm not familiar with that symbol that I showed you a minute ago, but it is a 360 watt power supply, 24 volt, and it looks really good. So I'm going to snap that back down on there, and I was curious what it would take to get that lid off, if I dare. Do I dare? I think I do. Does it just snap off? It looks like it slides. I'm not going to go to a lot of trouble to get this off, because I might have to remove it from the, yeah, I'm not going to do that. Let me see if I can see a little bit. I think it's probably an average power supply. It doesn't look super heavy in terms of components, but it doesn't look like it was really skimped on either. And then I come out of there. Where did that come out of? Came out of the front. So, here we go. Yeah, someone's mentioning the underbed insulation, and I give them credit. I've seen some companies who apparently think it's a lot of trouble to put holes through the insulation, and they didn't go to the trouble. On this one, you can see they actually did put holes through, and we have insulation almost edge to edge on that printer. So, any questions before I close it up? I want to make sure I answered everyone's questions while we're down here, because that's why I do this. Again, they put the fan in just about the best location that they possibly could. The fan is blowing directly onto the stepper drivers. Now, you could have put it in the bottom, and maybe it would have gotten more of them, but at least there's going to be airflow going this way across the drivers. The drivers, I don't think I'm going to have enough information here to tell you without taking off a heat sink, and since these are glued on, I don't want to damage the printer before I've tested it. So they are silent drivers. Let me see if the page said one way or the other. Let's see. It is a 12864 display. I am looking. So they don't, in their description, say which drivers they're using. So they're silent stepper drivers. They say that on the description. But whether they're 2208s or 2209s or actually, yeah, I don't know. I really don't know, and I don't want to guess. So I'm going to close it back up. I think everyone's seen what they came here to see. Go ahead. And this one snaps in. Looks like primarily on the back, or does it just snap back down? Let's find out. There we go. Just goes right back together. So kudos to them for making a very serviceable printer. Now I know if I need to get another main board or anything like that for it, it won't be a big pain to switch it out except for the amount of glue they put on everything. So, kind of a light stream today, but I appreciate the 50 of you that have joined me for hanging out on this Saturday. Here in Georgia in the United States, we are just about getting ready for school. School starts back next week for my kids. So this is the last weekend before school. All right, let's turn it back over and get it assembling. So they've got these in here. I don't know why they went to the trouble to put these little, they don't put them on the other side. But there we are. Okay. So first thing we're going to do is just screw down the gantry. So let's go ahead and get that done. Front of the printer, front of the printer. That should be the front of the printer, right? Looks pretty good. All right, they always act like this is no big deal. Let me go ahead and get my tools out. Well, you know what? We'll use the ones that it came with. Let's do that. Let's pull out the ones out of the bag. All right, again, bag of goodies. We've got, again, this is all of our extra parts here. All of our extra parts. USB cable. Actually a really pretty nice spanner there. I guess it's not technically a spanner, maybe. Wrench. We've got a piece of plastic. I guess the wrench was in there. And that's pretty much it. So I'm going to put the parts in now. Leave it all out for now. Clean it up in a minute. All right. So we've got all of our usual wrenches. We have a little piece of PTFE tube. That's strange. Can't say I remember a printer coming with a small piece of PTFE tube before. All right. Now we're going to need to turn this over sideways. And make sure that's the front. These are thumb screws, so it's pretty easy to get them started. Okay. Let me get the right size wrench. And I misjudged. All right, so there's the first one. We're going to get it started. Yeah, Barticus, that's exactly what I was wondering. Is that filament actually a Luke style hot end fix? I'm not sure. That's a good question. Did they already go, you know what, they're probably going to screw this up. They might need a little extra piece to save them when ultimately that PTFE tube gets damaged in some way. Very possible. I'm wondering if that's covered in the manual. I will go all the way through the manual before we are done with this live stream. Yeah, some people are saying it's an all-metal hot end. Is there any backup of that? Is that from another stream or another channel, or is that actually on their page somewhere that it's all metal? Because if so, maybe I have a lot less to complain about. Maybe it's still just a maintenance issue about being able to unhook, you know, one thing and not another. But we'll get to it. We'll get to it. Again, this is my first time, you know, actually having an artillery printer. I never got a Sidewinder for test. They have offered me one, but I'm trying to cut a little bit down on the reviews because there are some projects I want to do that everyone seems to be really excited about. So a little bit less on the reviews. They were gung-ho with this just being a live stream, so I said, send it. Send it on. So that's it for that part. So you go ahead and hook up your filament spool holder. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Oh, I'm hearing, I think, people subscribing. I appreciate that. If you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. You know how YouTube works. That's great for me. If you have not liked this video, that would be awesome too. I appreciate it. And then this goes apparently on the same side as the end stop, and it just pops in and does, you know, this kind of deal. There we go. Where is that? Let me check something real fast. Where is what I am looking for? Give me a second, guys. I apologize for the... Oop, that was not the plan. I get it. There we go. Trying to get the color right on here. I haven't been happy with it the whole stream, so let's see if that fixes it. All right. Let's see. Done the spool holder, which they say goes in the front here. I can move it back just a little bit and make it match their description. Then we are going to come around here and take this connection, which is on the back, for the end stop. Is that the end stop? I just put this together backwards. No, end stop's definitely in the front. Probably should take it around the inside. No, they're saying that. Huh? Well, the picture doesn't match up a whole lot here because they're actually, it looks like it's literally telling me to take it underneath the extrusion, which isn't a thing. Or was it? Was that something I was supposed to do? Did they literally want me to take that under the extrusion? Huh. Maybe they did. Maybe I've already screwed up the simplest instruction ever. Let's pull these out. I don't know why they're on one side and not the other. They're just going to get in my way though. And it doesn't make sense. No, you couldn't have taken it under. That's where the screw goes. So, anyway, let me just take it around here. Run it tight. I guess you actually want to see what I'm doing. Maybe I'm not even, am I doing that right? No, that's what I'm doing wrong. I'm not, that doesn't go there. I'm not doing this right at all. So, I apologize. The instructions aren't super clear, but you have to have the right connector for sure. So, let's go ahead and show you the right way to do this. Okay, there we go. So what they want is this wire, which is coming out of the main board area. There we go. They want that to be connected to the hot end, and that makes a whole lot more sense. It's just not what they show in the picture, so that's why I was confused. I didn't know where that wire was supposedly coming from. So they want that hooked up. This actually goes down to here. And plugs in here. And then this guy goes all the way up to this connector, which you can't see because they're making my life difficult. Ugh, still didn't get it. All right, so this one comes all the way up here and plugs into there. And I actually really like that. That's a good connector. That is a nice tight fit. So, big fan of that. I think that looks great. Yeah, I dig all of that. Now what? Are we pretty much done already? Just do this last little cable here. We're going to take this cable. Doesn't look like one end is different from the other. Okay, connect the Z. Install the hot end with the screws provided. Let's take that hot end. I think I said I was going to pull this apart a little bit because I did want to do that. They did not include a wrench to get that nozzle off, which I think is a little short-sighted since they included a wrench to do just about everything else. Let me step over here and grab my hot end wrench. Hopefully I have the right size. Let's see. If not, I'll just get a pair of pliers. I'll do it the old-fashioned way. Yeah, that fits. Alrighty. So, boop. Let's not make this convenient on me in any way. Okay, there we go. Let's actually see, is this... All right. So, what are we looking at here? There it is. That's how they've gotten around you screwing up your nozzle. So, I'm glad I did this. Check this out. They have actually put this black PTFE tube into the nozzle. You can see they've already put a piece of filament in here, but that's the way they get around this. So It basically has an integrated Luke's hot end fix built into the design of their hot end. So this should keep you from damaging that PTFE tube that comes with this other piece. As you can see, they just will mate up directly. So that's what they've done, and that's why they include this little black piece of PTFE tube. As I said, it's probably higher temp PTFE tube and will last longer. So that's pretty awesome. So I'm going to put that back in here. Hello, tripod. How you doing, man? Thanks for joining us today. And tighten that up. All right. So now we attach the hot end. I'm actually going to keep those ties on for now. And let's go ahead. Oh, I can't keep the ties on because they're in the way. So need snips. Snip that right off. I'll leave the one on the other side for now. And that's just going to go right there, and it looks like I need 3 screws to hook it all up. Make sure it says, yep, 3 screws, and we'll just put this hot end on. There we go, that. These Allen wrenches could be just a little bit longer, kind of tight in here. All right, man, come in, come out. I just throw a screw on the floor. Luckily, I think it's an extra one, but it won't be too hard to find. But yeah, these Allen wrenches are definitely a little short. I'm actually going to grab one of my tools because that's annoying. Which one do I need? I think it's a 2. Yeah. So much faster. Okay. And I'm apparently going to drop all the screws I can, which is pretty normal. All right. Tighten it up. All right. And once it's done, connect the extruder cable, tighten down the cable by turning the locking mechanism. All right, so moving on, we're going to put one here, and it is keyed, so I need to pay attention to where the key is. That, it goes right there. Hey, Pink Mouse, good to see ya. Okay, gonna make sure I get this good and tight. Go ahead and put down the other one. Thanks, Barticus. You're talking about the Iron Man screwdriver set that I was much lamented. Is that the one you're talking about, the Iron Man set? Or are you talking about the Wera set? Hello, I'm going to have to do my best to pronounce your name. Mamadou? No, the W ones. Okay, the W ones. Yeah, these are all my Wera screwdrivers. But anyway, hi Mamadou, welcome, and thanks for joining us from Senegal. Andrew liked the Iron Man set, thank you. I have it up on my desk upstairs. It's my my other use set, I'm not always in the garage, and so it's nice to have those little integrated sets in one place when you just need some tools. It's not my primary, but it looks cool on a desk and it's functional. There we go. It does include the wrench. The wrench, they say in step 6, boom, is for the tightening of our eccentric nut, and I'm actually pretty happy with the way that this came. I'm going to loosen it just to be sure. I'm going to loosen it to the point where it's too loose. I'm going to just back it off until it starts moving. Okay, so that's just about right. If you're wondering about eccentric nuts because you're not familiar with them, I like to back them off until basically you loosen it, which will make the whole thing move. And then once it's loose, you tighten it just enough to where all the wheels are making contact. When you spin them, it should move the gantry. That's how I handle that. All right, a little bit more beverage. All right. They tell us to go ahead and do the eccentric nuts also. I like this instruction manual because not only do they cover like the wiring and usual stuff, but they tell us you need to set this up. You need to make sure that your printer is properly tensioned. Now, of course, they don't really explain what eccentric nuts are or how they work, but they do tell you to check them. So this would be the time you could go watch a YouTube video or something. So let me see, am I happy with the way these are tightened? Yeah, these are actually good too. I'm not actually going to mess with those because that's going to be a pain. And they are tight enough for definitely to do the job. So good on them for proper calibration out of the box. All right, they have a leveling guide. So let's go ahead. This is a fantastic time to get the build plate uncovered. And they do list this as a 110 volt printer because it's right there on the build plate. You can see right there, it says 110 volts there in the corner and has a little QC sticker pass. So I'm going to pull that 110 off. I don't need a sticker on my bed. And that left a little bit of residue. Not going to be printing there to start off with. I'll clean that later. Is this another dressed up E3 clone? I actually would not put it that. I think there's enough innovation in this printer, or at least things that they've tried to innovate, that I wouldn't call it just an E3 clone. It's that design, it's that format, but I wouldn't go so far as to just call it a dressed up E3. They've done some of their own work here. So they're telling me to check the voltage. Yep, the voltage is set for 115. So thanks for telling me to check. There's a switch on the bottom and it is set for 115. All right, so they're telling me to do some bed leveling. As you can see, this does not have any sort of auto leveling mechanism on it. Let's go ahead and do a first power up though. I am turned off. It did come on or I accidentally hit it. But anyway, plugged in, nothing's smoking. Going to go ahead and switch to that close-up shot. And let's go down to the printer level. There, that's a nice shot. Very nice shot. Trying to get it. All right, let's go ahead. They didn't make it easy to pull off the little sticker on the screen, so I'm going to just level it for now. I'll probably get that out later. Let's cut it on. Let's cut it on. One zip tie left. Okay, let me cut off the last zip tie. Da da da. Done. Zip tied. Thank you for that. No, I see you. I see. All right. The zip tie's gone. All right, yay. Okay, let's cut it on. Boom. We got a little logo for Artillery, and it's Marlin 2072. Can I give them another bit of credit here for leaving the Marlin screen on there? Not only does it give Marlin credit for being the creators of the firmware, but it also lets you know which version of Marlin firmware you're running, which is fantastic. So another kudos to them. Beautiful Marlin display. It's kind of small, but it fits the overall design of it. I can see it still. Maybe if you were, had hard vision or something, this would be difficult, but it is bright, it is contrasty. I really, really like that. So the first thing that I'm going to actually follow their instructions. Obviously, know how to heat up and level a bed, but I want to follow their instructions as a new user. So the first thing, let's see, to print good parts, the build plate needs to be leveled, and the nozzle needs to be about 0.1 millimeters from the build plate in all locations. This is about the thickness of a piece of A4 paper. You want to adjust the height of the build plate so that you can barely slide a paper between the nozzle and the build plate with only a little resistance. Select temperature. All right, so we're going to click the button. Go down to temperature. And we're going to go down to preheat PLA, which is fantastic that they're letting you know that you should preheat. And then preheat PLA again. All right, so again, kudos to them for telling us to preheat, not just preheat, not just leveling cold. And then we're going to wait until it reaches its target temperature, of course, which I can actually watch here on my screen, which is nice. And then we're going to do a level corners, which is part of it. We're going to slide the paper around, use the knobs under the bed. We're going to go to next points. It says you may want to repeat the steps 5 or 6 times for 2 to 3 minutes for better results. So again, kudos to them for letting you know that you get better results if you keep repeating the process. And then when you start printing, it lets you know that you might need to make some small adjustments. Fantastic. Then they talk about the slicing software. Let me go to the overhead here. Up. Okay. So there's the leveling instructions, and they talk about the slicing software, getting it all set up for your printer. They tell you how to manually configure a printer, although these days we almost always have that as part of Cura. More information about how to use the slicing software, which I just can't get enough of these actual how to use your printer instructions. This is fantastic for a new user that might be not know anything about slicing or anything. To actually have these instructions included is a really nice touch. And then we end up with instructions in other languages. So they even went to the trouble to translate this book into several languages. So that's great. All right, let's see where we are on the preheating. We're just about there. We're already there on the nozzle. We're waiting on the bed, which is normal. I'm actually going to walk in front here and grab my feeler gauges because I'm not going to use a sheet of paper. All right, so we should be about ready to go. Let's take a look at this. Yep, we are at 70 degrees. Let's get going. Let's zoom up a little bit so that you can see what I'm doing. If you're new to 3D printing or new to bed leveling in general, don't want to leave you out. All right, so now we're going to go here. Let's go to motion, bed leveling, level corners. So we're homing, but you can't see all of that there, but I'm trying to show the screen too. I didn't check these wheels, but the wheels on the sides are also pretty good. I'm actually going to adjust one of my concentric nuts over on this side. Excuse me, I always say concentric. This eccentric nut needs a little bit of tightening. There we go. Okay, that's better. Just one of them was loose, so took care of that. So, as I showed in my last video, which was my ultimate bed leveling guide, I like to use my smallest feeler gauge because that gets us closest to the bed, and I actually think that that's the best way of doing this. If I'm missing you in the chat, there's a lot of chat going on, so if I'm missing you there, please @ me. Then I will notice it specifically directed towards me. So just, if you're looking for me directly. All right, so I'm going to tighten this up. Again, I'm using a 0.04 millimeter gauge, which is what I used in my video. And I'm going to say next. If you missed this video on bed leveling, go check out the channel, and all the links in that video will take you to like these gauges and stuff. Is the gantry level? Well, I can check that in a minute. As long as our bed is level to our gantry, we should be fine, but I will double check to see if it's level. I'm not gonna, hold on. All right, let's do another one. Are the springs good and flat ones? Yes, the springs are the nice yellow springs everybody loves. So. Anyway, yeah, these are the good springs. Okay. Let's go back around again. How are we looking in the middle? It's probably a little bit off right now because we're definitely going to need to go around again because of how much I had to raise this bed. But I give them credit because by starting low, you keep it from smashing into the build plate from the very beginning, which is nice. You know, Bardicus is officially impressed because they thought of so much, and I agree. Even if, I mean, we'll get to the bottom of everything, but even if something's not perfect here, I'm giving Artillery credit for really giving it a lot of thought going into this machine. Okay, around again. Okay, let's see what the middle looks like now. It's looking pretty good. I'm going to go around one more time. That's good. That's good. That's good. And that's still a little far off. Trying to get this one right. This last corner is kind of a little wonky. I don't know why. Seems to be moving a lot. I don't know what the deal with that is. It's just this corner. Seems to be moving on me, but I think it's all right. Yeah, okay, middle's good now. All right, so I'm not going to touch it. Looks good. That looks really crooked in the camera shot, so please excuse the camera. Let me go see. Does it look that crooked? Is my gantry that crooked? All right, I'm going to zoom out here. Let's do a little bit of inspection, because it does look like the gantry is a little crooked. So I'm going to grab a big ruler and let's find out. Now, I'm obviously not starting at 0 on this ruler, but it doesn't matter because we're looking at relative height. So I'm going to measure the gantry to the top extrusion, and this is 33.8-ish. And this is also, it's a millimeter difference about. Like this side's about a millimeter lower than this side. But that's not much. I think our eyes can perceive it pretty well. Let me see. Doesn't move a whole lot. This could still be tightened up. This one is still loose over here. So I'm going to go through this process one more time because I think that this is still loose. So let's say done here. I'm going to actually move the axis up some and try to do this tightening from about the center. Okay. So let me tighten it up because I do think that that's probably what's going on here because these are loose. And the only place I can tighten this one is on this side. So let me tighten this up. That could be where our skew is coming from. Given the fact that it's a one-sided gantry, meaning one lead screw, this could be what we're dealing with. Now it's pretty tight. Let me see now. Now we're at 21.8, and this side is at 21.8. There we go. That is what was going on. We had not tightened, or I had not tightened up my eccentric nuts on this side, and it was leading to the wobble because we didn't have 2 lead screws. So let's go through bed leveling one more time. We're still heated, so not a big deal, because now one side is going to be off from the other. Go back to leveling corners. There we go. Let's do it again. It shouldn't be too bad. It should be close. Okay. Obviously, I'm looking very awkwardly at this because of where it's sitting on the table. See how the center is now. All right, I'm happy with that. So we should be the camera is skewed really bad. But now the printer should not be. We're going to double check it one more time. So this side, 33.8. This side, 33.8. So that millimeter is now gone that we were concerned about. So much better. I think we are ready for a test print. I guess I'm just going to leave it here because this is going to be the best shot to show you that test print. Let's see what's going to, excuse me. All right. Can I get us a little bit lower? I think that's as low as this camera is getting. I think I'm okay with that. I can zoom in though. But maybe we'll start out far. Let's start out far so that you can see what's going on the menu. Let's see what it comes with, and then we'll pick a filament based upon what test prints it comes with. Hopefully it comes with something fun. Let's see. We are done with the leveling. All right, stick that in there. It is a full-size SD card for people that like that better. And I'm not particularly picky either way. So it comes with a cube. That's all it comes with is the cube. So I guess we're going to start with the cube. I feel like I'm behind on the chat because I just re-leveled my corners and now I'm just getting the chat. So, oh well. Okay. Cube. What are we going to print it in? One thing I do notice, it didn't come with any filament, which, again, if they've been listening to the community, people don't care if it comes with filament. That is something that people are tired of crap filament. So, what am I going to put in it? I have this really nice blue filament one. How about that? Hopefully it's not too moist, but I don't think it should be. So I'm going to just do this. We're going to make a blue cube from filament 1. This is funny because you have to find out where the filament goes in. What is this? Oh, that's where it is. Okay, I'm going to figure this out. All right. Ugh. At least it didn't go anywhere. It's not long enough yet. I put that there to hold it. Excuse me while I step in front of the camera. Over here, so I can figure out where the filament goes. Filament comes up, it looks like. So we're going to turn this over. And let's go ahead and do a clip. Also didn't come with snips. So usual things it didn't come with filament, and it didn't come with any clippers. So you will need to pick you up some snips of some sort. And there's a little hole down here in the bottom that it looks like that goes through. And there's a little thing to pull. And there we go. Let me see, hopefully you're getting this and not just my back. There we go. And we're going to get it up there. Actually, while I'm doing this, let me go ahead and raise the Z so that it's not going straight onto the bed here. All right. Let's get some filament coming out of here. Oh, it's coming out. Okay, it started with black. Now we've got that blue coming out of there. Yep, looks good. I'm going to pull back on it just a little bit so we don't get any nozzle ooze. And I can pull that off. Okay. And I guess we're ready to start that print. Should already be heated. go to print from media, and it just comes with a cube. So we're going to go with the cube to start with. Great Marlin menus, everything I would expect. And so far, so good. And we'll zoom in a minute once it gets going. Kind of just want to watch the whole thing happen here. You know what? We'll look up the source code while we're waiting. We can wait for this to go. I bet you the source code, I don't know if it's on, would be on the SD card or if it's on their website. So I'm going to go check their website real quick. Oh, there it goes. We are going. Okay, they're doing a purge line along the front, which worked perfectly. And we're going to print. It's going to go pretty fast. Actually looks like a really, really good first layer. I'm really happy with that. So let me bring that back up here so I can see and get you guys in on the first layer goodness. Let me turn up this camera a little bit. Looking pretty good. I'm going to start lowering this camera even more. Do the glass? Oh, I'm sorry. Excuse me. Been drinking. Do the glass beds require higher temps? No. You don't need higher temps on the glass bed. It's a little far away, I think, for this first layer, but I'm going to let it go because it's sticking well. I'm getting a little bit of, maybe a little too close, actually. One or the other, because I'm getting a little bit of actually too much. Either that or it's slightly over extruding. So bottom looks really good overall. Like I said, either I got it a little too close or it's slightly over extruding. We'll see how it looks after a little bit. So yeah, do you want to hear if it's quiet? So the fans are already on. So the part cooling fans are already on, and I'm right next to it, and I'm going to stop talking. So here I am. This is my head. There is almost no sound coming from this printer. That includes power supply, part cooling, no sound almost at all. So that is really, really quiet. And I'm going to try to get you closer to that print because I'm not happy with that camera shot. And we got a minute, you know. There we go. See if that's better. There we go. That's a little bit better. You can see what's going on there. Surprised my depth of field isn't a little bit better. I've got it set for a pretty wide depth of field, but we're going. Yeah, so the only thing I hear right now in my garage is my AC, which is running in the corner. I think it does a pretty good job of filtering that out on my mic. The machine's one of the most quiet machines I've ever heard, particularly given the fact that on top of everything else, it's got dual cooling. But technically, if you're using dual cooling, you should not need as high powerful fans because you're actually distributing it amongst two different fans. So someone said, I forgot who it was in the chat, that they didn't think you could do a cold pull on this. And I have to admit, you couldn't do a cold pull like right at the nozzle, where you would think to normally do a cold pull. You couldn't do one right there. You would actually have to do one from this end, from the end, the other end where the extruder is. You couldn't do a cold pull here unless you very quickly pulled this apart and did a cold pull. Which you might be able to do. That might be possible for you to quickly snap that off and to do a cold pull. Otherwise, you just do it through the entire connector. I'm going to have to rewatch Joel, the 3D printing nerd's video on that, because I know he complained about it. I know I've seen the video once. I didn't have an artillery at the time, so I didn't commit a lot of that to memory. But I'm curious to rewatch his video to know why it's not possible, and maybe I will even take a look at that in the future. Now that we're getting a little bit further up, you might want to see the infill, so I'm going to move it around a little bit. See if we can get some infill in there. Yeah, so it's got a pretty tight infill, it looks like. But I don't think I've had a build that has gone easier, has gone quicker, has been easier to take a look at the electronics than this printer. So, some people wonder how much can you really get out of the unboxing video. I think you learn about the printer when you unbox it, particularly if you take it apart and take a look at the inside. I think there's still quite a bit to learn about the printer. Long-term testing is long-term testing, and if you pay attention to most folks on YouTube, long-term testing isn't really part of it. You haven't tested a printer for months before you get out your review. Typically, maybe you've tested it for a few weeks, maybe a month. Kind of what I've been doing on the Ender 6. So I've got the Ender 6 review coming up, but I've decided to do it differently, and you people here on this video are going to be the first to really hear about it. So I've decided, I gave my Ender 6 a lot of time. Hopefully not too much time. I know the Ender 7's hot on the thing, but I think I like the Ender 6 better than the Ender 7. I like the construction of the Ender 6 better, but the Ender 6 isn't perfect. It has some problems, but I've spent some long-term testing on it to know whether I really like the machine, because I was a bit hesitant with a machine like that. But the video that's going to come out on it is going to be much more comprehensive from I've been using it for a few months perspective, and I think that's going to be nice. Saw one that they cold pull down 3, so if you go 220 and then wait and unplug and hot in, you should be able to insert. Yeah, Tom mentioned a way in the chat about how we could do a cold pull, so check that out if you're interested. Yeah, I don't think it's impossible. I'm really warming up to this printer fast, because I'm fairly shocked at how much it just works out of the box. How simple it is. I understand why Artillery wanted to send it to me. So thank you again to Artillery for sending it my way. I'm leaning, I want to spend a couple of months just printing on this one now, because my out-of-box experience has been so positive. I am going to take it, like I said, I want to take a look at some other reviewers and see what they've thought about it that have spent more time on it than I have. And then I'll spend my own time with it. You can't have too much information. The belts seem tight. That Y belt actually could be tightened. So I'll probably tighten the Y belt. Looks like you can tighten it pretty easily up here in the front. So if anything's off on the Y, that's what it is. The Y belt needs tightening a little bit. I agree with you, Tripod, on the price of that cable, but given the fact that that is actually not running into the hot end, you actually have this black PTFE tube that runs into the hot end. I'm not nearly as worried about damaging that as I was before. And Andrew says just get some cleaning filament. It's been working really good for him. So I'm going to get my chair. So we are up to 73 people in the chat and 44 likes. So it's a nice print. And it's interesting cube. It's a rounded corner cube instead of a square corner cube. So what else is there to say about this printer? I mean, if from a longevity standpoint and through maybe some clogs and through you know, a few failed prints, I decide that it's still fairly easy to clean up and operate and use, this might be one of the easiest printers that I could imagine recommending to someone. Every machine, it seems, is going to come with some level of, for lack of a better word, danger. And I think, you know, that's what Thomas is bringing up there, is that there are connectors and everything kind of close to your hot end that if you had a major disaster could get caked in filament. I'm going to check out the website real quick. 3D printer accessories. So while this prints, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to do a screen share real quick. So look at what all you can get off of their website. They have their 32-bit Gen L boards available, which are on sale because that $199 price is ridiculous anyway. Here is that 6865 for that plug that we've been talking about. You can get new, you can get AC heaters. Oh, that's for the Sidewinder. Okay. Here are the drivers for the 3D printers. New wheels. New motors. I don't see a whole new hot end assembly, at least not for this printer yet. They've got them for the Genius, the Sidewinder, the Genius. So my guess is, since they're already shipping them for these printers, that if, you know, eventually they'll have the whole assembly for this, you know, in case someone that's not inclined, or in case it's just such a disaster that you want to junk the whole hot end. The way that the assembly is on this printer, you could junk the hot end without ever taking it, you know, you don't have to even take off the gantry because the gantry is a separate part. You don't have to replace the cable because the cable is a separate part. So you junk the hot end, spend possibly $50 on a new hot end assembly if you really, you know, if you thought it was that big of a disaster, and you're back up and running for 50 bucks. Not cheap, but not the end of the world, particularly when you're talking about getting a machine back up and running quickly. What max temp do they rate on the hot end? That's a good question. Let me find out.
Hola, yo soy Fer y tenemos un nuevo review.
This video keeps
Este tenía rato
popping up.
cocinándose y aunque morí.
Okay. Let's see. I've got the settings down here. I don't see it. I don't see a max temp. Let's see if it's in the manual. So Ben is saying you can get the entire hot end assembly from 3D Jake International for $39. So yeah, that's a pretty quick fix. So if you go to that artillery page I was on, there is a video that they have. I'm sure it's a review from some maybe Portuguese, maybe Spanish. I'm not quite sure what language it is. YouTuber. And that's what pops up as soon as you go to the web page. So you immediately get assaulted with something that you don't understand if that's not your native speaking language. Let's see if in the manual they have that maximum temp. Well, I do not see a maximum temperature. If I had to guess, I would try not to run it over 145, and I would say 155 is the absolute maximum. That's my opinion. Ben is saying 260. That's in the range I was talking about, so that's all good. It's actually printing pretty quick too. So this is a lot of infill. We're probably looking at least, what, like 20 or 30% infill maybe. So it's quite a lot of infill, but it's printing pretty quick. I'm not complaining too much on this one. Hybotics is complaining about the video, and I agree. It's bad form to start playing a video as soon as you go to a page. But there it is. That's what they've done. So now we've talked a lot about the printer. You've seen me take it apart and put it back together. We're going to see the test print here when it's done. We're probably about halfway done. What questions or concerns do you still have about the printer that you'd like me to see if I can answer, or just we can just sit here and talk about it? One thing I have to say, maybe I'll just do an overhead shot here. This is nice. I mean, from an everyday printing perspective, this is the cleanest you could possibly get this. Obviously, it's not much worse to have two lines here, you know, a bundle of wires and then your PTFE tube. But this is as clean as this gets. This looks really nice. Nothing's getting caught up. Given the fact that it's PTFE in the middle, it's got rubber on the outside, it maintains its parabolic shape really well, which is a really nice printer path, filament path for that. Tom wants me to just see what I can get the max temperature up to, and I can do that. That's definitely doable. But again, it does look like, in some way, and I'm not exactly sure how to do this, I'll have to do a little bit of research. It does look like they're probably set up for a BL Touch or some sort of probe if you want it. I'm wondering if that's on their website at all. If I go to accessories, I don't see any sort of bed leveler that they have in their store. Because right here there's a Z probe pin. So you can see right here a little bit, there's actually a header for a Z probe. And I noticed that there is Z bed leveling in the menus. So it is set up for a BL Touch or some other sort of probe. Unfortunately, I don't know where that would go. Because there's no real, I don't see a way to mount it easily. So I don't know where that would exactly go, but it looks like they're set up. Hybotics wants to know, can the PTFE tube be replaced? Not the one inside the tube. I did try to push on it a little bit. It looks integrated permanently, mechanically. But that's why it comes with the little PTFE tube inserts. Is so that hopefully you won't have to replace that PTFE tube because it's not actually going all the way to the hot end. I still can't get over how quiet the machine is with all those fans running. Most companies can't figure out how to get their parts cooling fan cool enough. I have to say, it actually feels like what they've done is made an exhaust fan. So they're pulling the heat out of the cooling, out of the area with the stepper drivers, rather than blowing over the stepper drivers. So apparently they're not having any problems. There's a lot of these printers out there. So $200 right now, less than that on Amazon. Space Invaders. I haven't actually looked at where those are. You'll have to type up where you find those in the in the chat. Tell me where I find those games, and I'll go looking for them. Oh yeah, the other thing we were looking for. We went looking for where their downloads are. Can I download the firmware? Look at this. There's the Genius source. There is the Sidewinder X1 source. There's the Hornet. I'm not seeing the Hornet source yet. Oh, wow. Okay, it takes you... I was saying it didn't go to the Hornet source. It takes you to the GitHub. So Artillery actually has their own GitHub, Artillery 3D GitHub, and has Hornet firmware right there. So if you wanted the source, there it is. Fan-freaking-tastic. That's awesome. So you want to build it yourself? Go for it. That makes me really happy. And then if you need the Hornet memories, it doesn't look like they've released a new Hornet firmware, at least not since it was released, because this only takes you to the GitHub. So I don't think they've got the binary available, and I'm guessing that's just because they haven't released a new version. Isn't the glass permanently attached to this? Yeah, so they didn't go with clips because it's glass. They just did some sort of thermal tape or something to connect the two together. Some high temp tape or some thermal tape, so you don't even have to worry about clips getting in the way or anything. I've seen plenty of printers that came like this. You may worry that if you crack the bed, then you're out of luck. Sure. But there are some positives to not having the glass come off. Rushmere, though, is mentioning that they would prefer the flex plate. So while it would not be ideal, in fact, I wouldn't recommend it, I have to be honest, but you could put a flex plate on top of this. So Lone Tech saying that they would have preferred if the Git repo was a proper fork. Yeah. I don't always expect, though, that everyone knows how to use GitHub correctly. So maybe they didn't understand that that was how you were supposed to do it. Two people have forked this branch, which is interesting. I'm not going to share all of this information with you. So let me log into my Git repo real quick. Not that it'd do you much good without two-factor authentication. to, where was I? Okay, so back into the fork. I wanted to see who had forked it. Oh, no, that's how to fork. I want to know who had forked. So there's 2 forks. 2 other developers have forked their version to play with, which is what I would do if I wanted to play with their version. I would love to do a diff between this one and the other one, but I guess I'd have to do that locally. If you're not familiar, a diff is just getting the differences between 2 source trees. There we go. Let's take a look at how it's looking close up since that's blocking it. There we go. It is already doing some sort of top layer. I think it's probably doing some sort of artillery logo on top. And so this is the embossed artillery logo at the top of it. Ah, okay. Ecolex added baby stepping or adjusted it at least. Okay, Lone Tech's going through the trees. Lone Tech wants to know what they changed. I didn't see baby stepping, I don't think. Let me see. Does it have baby stepping? Let me look at the menu real fast. Can't go all the way down to it, so. Okay. Let's go down to tune. See if there's baby stepping in this. Speed, bed Z maybe? I haven't heard it called that. Yeah, they have baby stepping. It's already in here. So, baby stepping's right there. Already in here if you need it. That was a good thing to check. I'm glad you mentioned it while we were doing that other stuff. Oh, you couldn't see any of that because my hand was in the way. My apologies. But yeah, baby stepping is in the menu. Well, this is, like I said, this is a really smooth live stream. I'm really impressed so far. To your point, Lone Tech, nothing significantly changes in those 2 forks. I have to say, I don't see a whole lot missing in the firmware as of right now. I think the ABS preset's nice. If you wanted to add a PETG preset, that would be nice. But those are just kind of niceties. With baby stepping already being in the firmware, I don't know, what you're missing. Be curious, and I know you're not going to be able to see this either. Be curious to know if, I don't know if it was in 207 yet, but at one point in time, I can't even check it right now because we are in print mode. But at one point in time, PID tuning was added to the menu system. And I actually do like that on my Ender 5 Plus now because it makes it really easy to PID tune without having to get to the console. Question, was I hallucinating or did I see a temp overshoot on the hot end while the print was warming up? I would have to go back and watch. I wasn't watching probably as closely as you were. 3D Jeff asks, or says, nap time starting about 10 minutes ago, dozing in my chair, gonna lay down, nothing personal, just beautiful weather here. Fantastic, Jeff. You have a terrific afternoon. I think we've seen good things from this printer so far, so you go take it easy. Lone Tech. I think someone earlier, Lone Tech is agreeing with you, Barticus, that he saw the same thing. I think someone mentioned we might need to do a PID tune on it. That's pretty easy to do. And as we can see, even if that's the case, it's not greatly affecting our print quality here, I don't think. We'll find out when we pull it off. Let's see, we are printing at, just for the record, we are printing at 210 and 60. And it does look like our temps are staying pretty close. Just, 208, 209. So you could, I'll go ahead and zoom out in case you want to see it. In case you want to watch the temps on it, which I think is a perfectly fine hobby. There you go. That looks pretty good. So you can watch it there. Little south of 210 actually, but they're not fluctuating terribly. I'm seeing it go from about 2.8 to 211. And we are 32 minutes into this print and just a little bit more to go. Again, they added that Artillery logo to the top of this cube. I will be curious to pull out the measurements on this cube. We'll see how good it looks. So anyone after this little video considering picking one up possibly, given the pretty low price tag for this printer? Anyone thinking about it as a second, third printer, 15th printer, however many you have? And we are done. Now I just need to wait long enough for me to be able to get it off of this print bed, because since it's glass, I do think we're over extruding a little bit. I think we need to adjust the flow or the steps per millimeter on this print, because I've got a little bit of surface noise on this. Yes, non-fam's absolutely right. A silicone sock, which this is missing, would go a long way to keeping those prints more stable. I completely agree. Surprised it didn't ship with one. I don't know many printers these days that don't ship with a silicone sock. Oh, check max temp on the screen while we're waiting. Okay. Can I get my arm out of the way far enough? Okay, so if I wanted to raise the temp as far as it would go, what will it let me do? 260. So that's exactly what we would expect. So 260 on the nozzle is exactly what we would expect for one with PTFE tube. And I wouldn't run it up to 260. Like I said, my max temp would probably be around the 245 mark. But I think that's good. Tom said, last call to smash the like button. Yep, because we got 63 people in and 45 likes. So if you haven't done that yet, that'll help. And we're still going to have to wait a minute to get this print off, because we are here. I'm gonna help it. I'm gonna help it. So here's the secret weapon when it comes to cooling things down faster. See if I can watch this. We are at 53. Now this doesn't add any cold. This is just air. Yeah, Tom asked, is the surface textured? Yes, the surface is that, what's that? I forgot what it's called. But it's that, yes, it's that black painted texture. That's why it's not coming off. Where are we at now, 51? I don't know how much this is helping. With that insulation on there, it's going to take longer to cool down. "3D printing in the cave" asks, does the bed not come off? No, the bed does not come off. It is attached. It wouldn't matter if it came off a whole lot. I mean, sure, you could help it cool down a little bit faster that way, but I really don't want to put water on a glass bed. Mainly because I don't want to crack it. You cool down a glass bed too fast. That's why I'm using uncooled air. I don't want to crack the bed. We're already down to 46. It shouldn't be much longer. I think when we get down close to 40, I'll go get a scraper. Just to give it a little nudge. Although I hate to mess up this beautiful bed because it's really nice. Yeah, it would help the bed cool faster. I agree. If I could do that, and you know, so it didn't come with two tools. It didn't come with the snips. It also didn't come with a scraper. So I think they saved a few bucks by not including the tools that maybe people say they already have. I think given the sort of first-time printer aesthetic and features of this printer, that it should have come with both of those things, even if it costs $10 more to add them, which it doesn't. There you go. Nothing to it. Not a big deal. All right, so is my camera going to cooperate and give me really good, pretty print, views of this print? Let's find out. All right. Boom. Let me zoom in. There we go. So as you see, I said that there's a little bit of over extrusion here. You can see it on this corner here. Looks like it's putting out a little too much filament, so that may be steps per millimeter. You can probably compensate with flow. Either way, sides of the print, really clean. There's a little, I mean, you can tell that there are layer lines, but they're not drastic by any means. That first layer went down really well. Nice smooth layer. Again, I said it when we started, a little bit of over extrusion, but not much. So there we are. Now I'm going to do a little measurement on it. Let's find out how the measurements look. Yeah, it prints great out of the box. No complaints here. I'm going to grab my micrometer. I would grab my calipers, but my calipers are upstairs. I've been designing something. So let's go ahead. Just use the micrometer. And let's find out how big this cube's supposed to be. Looks like a 20 by 20 probably. Okay. It is not 20. Is it 25 or 30? It is not 25. It's not actually going to fit my micrometer. No, it doesn't actually fit the micrometer. So, oh well. Let's go ahead and just do height then. I could go get my calipers. It's probably not worth it though. Let's figure out how it does on height. Yeah, height doesn't make any sense because the height isn't right. I don't know what the height's supposed to be. I'd have to open it inside. My height measures 18.35 millimeters, which, again, it's not a cube, so there's no telling what it was supposed to be. So, oh well. I think we are about done, and this is absolutely my fastest live stream ever, and I am going to give all the props to that, to Artillery on this one, because that was easy. That was a great first print, and I'm actually I'm probably a little more than impressed. Could there be some mechanical issues and some maintenance issues with this tube? Yes. Does the tube provide a healthy amount of cleanliness and just lack of worry and maintenance? Absolutely as well. So let's see. Any other questions before I wrap this up? 2-hour stream. It is a nice machine. From this initial print, I would definitely recommend this as a first machine. Obviously, no machine's going to be perfect. This, so far, just out of the box experience, is better than any machine that I've used before. It's better than an Ender 3 of any variety that I've tested personally. And I mean, if you look at it, it's going to have a lot of the same issues in terms of the mechanical aspect because it uses the same rollers, has pretty much the same features. But it looks like Artillery put a lot of thought into a lot of parts of this printer. The injection molding is well done. They've made it easy to get to my components, which you guys saw early in the stream. It was fantastic getting into this, popping it open. It took 3 screws and like 5 minutes, probably less than that, to get into. If I was going to upgrade anything, it would be dual Z screw, because as we saw, it took the proper tensioning of the wheels to really get the X gantry trammed correctly. Bed leveling was as easy as on any manual bed leveling printer. I'm probably going to throw this printer into regular rotation now after I do some basic tuning with it, because I want to see if I print with it for the next month, does it still print fantastic in a month as it does right now, because again, impressed with it. Want to hook up Octoprint probably to it so I can easily throw print jobs to it. But let me see. Mabadoo says the Bowden tube seems fine, and I agree. Cold pulls are going to be harder, but not like, I think I can find another way to do it. If you're concerned about that, check out Joel's video. I don't know if, I remember seeing it but I, again, don't remember exactly what his problems were. But I see ways of doing cold pulls, whether it be just doing a long cold pull or whether doing a cold pull where you monitor the temperature. When it gets the right temperature, pop this off and pull out the filament, something like that. All of that should be possible. Still, just maybe a little bit more trouble than it would normally be. But, again, special thanks to Artillery for providing this. I did not promise them a full review. In fact, I only promised them an unboxing. They were okay with that, and I think I know why they were okay with that, because this unboxing was the easiest one I've done so far, and I'm overall really impressed with the initial impressions. And this little guy is cute. It is a bumblebee of a printer, or if you throw if you were to throw a Caterpillar logo on the front, it would be a nice industrial printer. So thanks, Lone Tech, for dropping by. Is it easily customizable like the Enders? I think that's a good point to bring up, Mamadou. When you're looking at a printer like this, I see less customization because this is meant to be kind of whole out of the box. It's not really meant to be a printer that you have to invest a lot of upgrading into. When I see a printer like this, I don't really want to touch it a whole lot because it looks finished. And I don't mean just aesthetically finished, I mean mechanically finished. It is what it is. If I was going to do an upgrade, like I said, I would probably try to figure out a way to do a second Z-screw. It doesn't need better cooling. It doesn't need a new motherboard. It doesn't need a new display. There's not a whole lot I would do to it. An all-metal hot end would be nice if I wanted to print some different filaments on it, but I don't think you're going to buy this kind of printer if you plan on printing PEEK with it or anything. So, how do I pronounce? How does it come that you pronounce my name so well? I try. That's why. I care. Exactly. Bardicus brings it up perfectly. He says, Enders, you need to customize because they have, just to fix all the cheap problems. And I agree. And that's what we're looking at here. This is a more polished product than an Ender. So I'm going to spend time on this because if I'm going to recommend this as people's first printer, I'm going to have to mean it. So I'm going to spend a month on it, see if I think that it's the best first printer ever, and we'll go from there. So thank you all for joining me today. It's been a blast. It's been great to do a fun 2-hour stream with you. If you are starting school next week, or if you have kids starting school next week or very soon, good luck to everyone. Be safe out there. I know lots going on with the pandemic right now, so be careful, be safe, and I wish you all the best, and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching. Where's the button? There's the button.